turn it back on. And let me see if I can find, I think I did one yesterday. First, I'm going to go into my 3D mode. And I'm going to close this one up. I'm going to close that up, and I'm going to see if I can. Yesterday, I did one with Charlie. Did the adjustable arm. So let's just take that one as an example. So there's my 3D model of an adjustable arm. That's the whole idea, is I've got an adjustable arm, and I basically made it from the top view. Okay. Well, maybe it was the front view on that one. I don't remember. But I made a cylinder. I made this shape. And I made this shape, and I put them together, and I've got my solid object. So there's the key. I've got a solid object. Once you have your solid object, and I just did it on the 0 layer, I should probably put it on a different layer. So I'll just make one. I'll call it geometry. And since it's a solid, I don't really need anything else. There we go. And so I'm going to put this thing on that layer just so that I've got it. There we go. So I've got it. So now I need to open up my resource file, which was in, where was it? I have to find my resource file. There it is, week 4. And I'll type DC. Look at my open drawings, and I'll bring a layout in. And I think that this one's fairly complex, so I think mechanical B size will probably be the most appropriate. Whoops, I need to do it in here. Mechanical B size. There we go. So that's where I'm going to put this thing. So I've got a layout, and I have a model. 2 different things. On my layout, I want to present my orthographic views. And here's how to do it. Zoom in a little bit. I'm going to go, since I'm on my layout, I'm going to go to the layout button, and I'm going to do this base view from a model. Base view from a model, and I'm going to take it from model space. And it's going to sit here and think for a little while. And it's going to give me my front view. That looks like a pretty good size. Click. Okay. And then it'll ask me for where I want to put my top view and my isometric view. Right click, enter. And there are my views. That's how I make my views. Now, my isometric view usually does not show the hidden lines. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to edit the view and just say I want only visible lines. There. And now I'm ready to go. Isn't that awesome? Now, in reality, yeah?
That is so not what I was doing.
Oh, okay.
That's way better.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, then then hopefully that makes it much more clear. That isn't that nice? It's like,
Yeah, that's great. I actually drew out the three views and was trying to get the 3D model up into the other quadrant of the page.
oh, oh no, it goes opposite. You make your model and then you get these.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
it's all right.
Um, at least we got it now. Now there's a few things like when you do annotate on this one, it would really be cool if you could pick these two lines and just make that center line, but it won't. So what you're going to need to do is like make a center line. You really only want to do that center line. This one is too messy. You don't show it over here. They show tons of stuff in the other one and we don't need to. Okay. Now, what you might do here is draw the center mark. And again, I actually don't like that much. I don't like seeing it that way. So I'm going to do something special in this case, and I'm going to explode it. Just type explode. And I could have changed how it does the center mark. I just want the tiny little ticks. I don't want the big ones. They just get in the way on this particular drawing.
Oh, I didn't realize you could do that. I had a problem with that on one of the other drawings, and I didn't like it. And so I shrunk the lines down as much as I could, but I didn't know I
Yeah.
could remove them.
Yeah, and actually you can set how the center marks happen. But this is just easier. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here and I'm going to get a center line layer. And I'm going to come and turn my center line layer on. There we go. And I'm going to come back to my piece of paper. And I'm just going to draw an arc. And I know the center, the start, and the end. The center, the start, and the end. Now here's another cool command. Lengthen. Len. And I usually do it by a certain amount, DE. And I usually go 1/8 at a time. And then you just start clicking on it till it goes out past it a little ways. And that is sufficient for that. Now you've got something to work with. Okay, so you've got this center line made normal. This one took just a little bit and went, and I can rotate these if I want, but I don't think it's useful. They're small enough and they're out of the way. Now, the other thing is this is awfully big. So I can edit this view and probably make it 1:2. And that really is sufficient for this. And then notice, sorry about that. Let me close the door here. Notice my model, I didn't finish it. I don't have the little bottom piece on here. So you'll need to put the little bottom piece on there. Cool? How does that do? Does that get all the stuff you need at this point?
Yeah, as far as doing the layout, that helped a lot.
Okay, cool. And I did post into just this morning into the playlist for this week um, a video of me making this one.
Oh, okay.
Because there are some special things to it, like how do you get this fillet? How do you get things into place? And so it's just a version of how to make this thing and a version of how to do that floating arm because there's that weird, you have to do something called the slice command on the floating arm if you chose that one to do. Cool.
Why does your third view there have a line rather than it being smooth across the fillet on the back circle?
Right there.
Yeah.
That's very typical where you put in tangent lines. So it typically will put in a tangent line to show you where two arcs change.
Okay.
So it's typical. It's not always done. Notice how there isn't one on this.
Yeah, that's what threw me.
Right, because that's all one arc. There's no change of radius anywhere.
Okay.
So that is and that's not always done. It's a selection that you make, but it is most common in mechanical.
Then the other 3D problem I'm having is removing the center of the circle. You know, when I pull things up or extrude them, I get left with that hole and I can't get it to go all the way through.
Okay, so let's say I'm going to do one kind of like that.
And somehow I got it to work on one drawing, but the other ones I couldn't.
Let's say I've got that and I do a press pull and it doesn't go away. Well, that one went away. So I'll just press pull it part way. Well, darn it all. It's not. Sometimes they'll go away and sometimes they won't. So let me do this. I'm going to have to do it like this. If it makes a new object, so when you do press pull, there's some settings about whether it's making a new object or if it's doing a union or a subtract automatically. So here I've got it and it didn't go away. Then I have to do the subtract command. So I subtract from the big piece, enter, take away the small piece.
Okay.
So that's how the subtract command works. It's so if you end up in that state, you can subtract. And you'll see, I think on one of the ones that I demoed, it started doing that. And it's just a matter of it gets itself into a little setting somewhere on the press pull as to whether it's going to do Boolean operations or make a new part. So, but that's the subtract command. So that one will help.
Okay. That was what I was getting stuck on.
Cool. Any other cool things that you got stuck on? These are not super easy, but I just think it is actually really impressive if you can show this because that's 6 weeks of learning and you went from 0 to this in 6 weeks. That's a Ferrari. You know, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch what you posted.
Right.
I just did the layout of my bearing support, and my third view is showing all the hidden lines. So I've got to figure that out.
Okay.
But I'll go back and watch it.
Yeah, and so it's on the playlist as 301 3D tricks.
Okay, that's great.
So and so you can see I did the floating arm, which is not an easy one either. So it's okay to just kind of like go by that. Stick it into double speed mode and watch it and then do that part and watch it and do that part. Um it was like um I'm taking an online course. It's a very short, simple online course with best practices. And and the ding dong is trying to get you to get your students to watch at regular speed for some reason. It's like you have to put down whether how much time you spent watching. And I'm going, well, that's ridiculous. Speed that thing up and watch it 2 or 3 times. It's
Yeah.
like when you read a book, what do? If you're reading a textbook, first you look at the title, then you see if there's any special
I just
notes.
made the cylinder.
Right? You look to see if there's any special notes, and then you breeze through it. Whoops. Then you speed through it, and then you go, oh, okay, now I know what to go back and look for. And you take notes. It's like, we should be teaching people to treat YouTube just like they treat a book. It's a tool, and there are best practices for studying on YouTube, and they're pretty similar to what you do when you're reading a book. So, anyway, are either of you musicians? Do you play anything?
I did a long time ago, but I married a opera singer and musician.
Oh, okay. Well, you know that the very first thing they do is they sight read it through, just like bleh, sight read or listen to it, and then they get into looking at it. So I was a jazz guy in high school, which was a long time ago, but it was always right. Just read it through. Play it along, read it through. Now, where did you have difficulties? Where did you have this? Where do you have to really pay attention? Start annotating your music. Write on your music. What do you do here? What do you do here? What do you do here? And, it's just such a typical, no matter what you're doing, that's a great way to learn. So I'll suggest we do the same thing here. Buzz through this thing on 2 speed and collect your points where you think that they're important, and then go back in and just do it. Cool? I think
Sounds good.
I think you'll enjoy this one.
I removed my name from the 2:00 slot today.
Okay. Okay. That sounds cool. All right, Anna, is there anything I can answer for you? How are you doing with your work? Is it all progressing? Okay. And look, everybody's doing great work. I'm not at all concerned with what anybody is doing in the class. So have fun this week. Get that last thing done, and then hopefully we'll see you next week in the next session. Oh, by the way, did you see from Dr. King that classes that were considered difficult to convert, that were scheduled as on campus, are going to be allowed to be on campus in the fall? So that's good news. Most design tech courses are not that way. The only one I think is my survey course, Design 350 and the Design Hub. But that's good news. We're moving in the right direction. And if you are taking a class that was sort of like waiting to hear, we've heard difficult to convert and impossible to convert classes will be allowed on campus. So that's cool. So hopefully we'll see you on campus a little bit. Won't that be groovy?
Well, maybe. I hope that doesn't mess up my schedule.
So, well, for design tech, it won't. And I believe there's only in like electronics and mechatronics. There might be one or two classes where the lab needs to be on campus, but I'll tell you, they're going to be very, very good about letting people like just go get stuff and do the lab at home. So, I mean, the tech ed is really, really flexible. So,
Yeah, Fred's been great.
yeah, yeah. Which Fred?
Fred,
Evangelisti or?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He's totally awesome.
Him and Gary George.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's 16 of my 21 units for the fall.
Yeah, so there you go. So you're set. They're both cool. They just want you to learn the stuff. So, and then I don't know if you've worked with the Stan and some of those guys in the electronics labs. They're just awesome. They'll work their tail ends off to get things set up for you and get things going. So you're in great shape. Cool.
Yeah, no, I haven't met them. I know I wrote an install manual for Fred last term.
Okay.
For one of our things we brought home.
Yeah, so cool. Okay, well, there we go. That's it. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording for this part.